Hey, my man Lautaro, how you doing, buddy? This is Ryan with TrendLizard.com. I got your email. You asked me to take a look at a few new tickers for you, ones that we haven't taken a look at before. CHS, Chicos FAS, Chicos FAS, not sure exactly how you say it. Certainly know the company or the retail store. That's one. The next one is ITCB, which I think is ITAU CorpBanca, and then ILF, which is the iShares Latin America 40 ETF. So all interesting. Thanks for sharing these with me. I'll be interested to see if you agree with kind of my analysis with obviously using Elliott Wave to see where they are in their Elliott Wave patterns and where they're going in the future. So let's take a look at all from the beginning and just detail every aspect of the pattern. We're going to start with CHS here. It was incepted back in 1993, had a choppy start to the move, and then kicked off a massive up move basically from about 12 cents up to I think about 36. So this was a great run back in the day there, I guess about 20 years ago. Hit his head there, has never recovered from the high it set back at the start of 2006. A massive down leg, counter trend recovery, and then another massive down leg to a new low, which looks like one big ABC down move. Now, obviously, this correction is bigger than just what we saw to the upside. If this was just going to correct this up leg here, it would have stopped in the yellow area. It did not. It continued down. So this is obviously the largest degree down move that we've ever seen on this guy in its history. So it largely resets the chart. So the question becomes, obviously, is this advance off of the 2020 low the start of a new uptrend? And that potential is certainly there with the sharp nature of this recovery and then the choppy sideways action we've seen since then. But let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at what we see. This is that recovery off of the 2020 low. Looks like a very nice 5-wave move. Every leg within that 5-wave move subdivides nicely into its own 5-wave move. And then you have this big sideways chop off of the 2021 high. Very much counter trend price action. There's just simply no way to label it otherwise. It looks like a counter trend move that will ultimately set up more trendy upside action. I think that's the payoff, obviously. So the question is, when is this counter trend move going to complete? Certainly doesn't look complete yet. Now, if you see this yellow support area here, that's obviously our Fibonacci support area. We don't want to see it move much below 350. It's trading at around 5 right now. That's a pretty deep move, but that's the level to watch. We want this to ultimately complete somewhere in that area, and that will keep things looking bullish overall. Let's go ahead and zoom in and just look at the counter trend action now. Big chop fest, as you can see, 3-wave moves in both directions. The nice recovery that we saw in 2022, mid-2022, was a very clear 3-wave move to the upside, so we can still confidently say this is all part of that counter trend move. And then also that 3-wave move was retraced by more than 61.8%. Those are two reasons to think the correction is still in play. The third reason is the trendy look of this down leg we've seen in, I think, September, maybe a little bit of August there. But this looks like a trendy down leg. Basically just sets the stage or tells us that it's still in this counter trend move. We got to think price is going to head lower before it heads higher, and that likely means a retest of May's low, or at least in that area before it's said and done. Maybe one thing that would change that is a move above 610 at any time. Then we'd have to start wondering if maybe a low was already found, maybe a triangle pattern or something of that variety. But I think as long as it's trading below 610, all the near-term signs are pointing lower, while anything on any larger time frame looks bullish. So I think you just have to wait for the completion of this big counter trend muck and look for some trendy upside action to buy in to the next 5-wave advance. Should be a good opportunity. I certainly will watch it now that you've put it in front of me. So thank you for that. So let's go on now. We're going to take a look at ITCB. Get this right now. ITAU, as you informed me, even though it says ITA on stock charts, CorpBanca SA. So here is what we're looking at. It was incepted back in 2005. Basically went from 1 up to about 16 over the course of 6 years, and since then has been working sideways to lower and more recent action. It would have made some sense if we had the sideways move for a wave A, a B wave, and then this downside action in 2019 into the 20 low for that to have completed this counter trend move, but very clearly it did not. Price gave us a counter trend bounce and then resumed the downtrend. And similar to CHS, you can see this yellow area. It's a little faint here, but this means that this pullback, again, is bigger than anything this guy's ever seen. It's retraced more than 61.8% of this entire up leg here. So we knew this is a large degree move. The reason I mention this is because it kind of takes away our ability to find a good potential target, because there is no retracement area, because we can't see the entire upside move. So that kind of handicaps us on that side. It leaves us looking for something trendy to the upside before we can have any type of confidence that a move like this is over. Something that's basically traded sideways to lower in counter trend fashion for 11 years. That's a long time. So let's go ahead and zoom in, take a look at what we can see. I'm sorry, actually, we're going to take a look at a different way to label this since it did not complete here. One idea would be ABCX, AB, and then a C in progress. Whatever the case may be, when we get in there, we see that there's really no sign of an end here. We see the trendy downside action, 2019, and then we see this counter trend ABC move, and then off of that 2021 low, again, trendy downside action, counter trend price movement. So if anything, and if I know you, I'm guessing you're looking at this as probably a short opportunity. Basically, as long as it's trading below 450, that level's not super close, but it's as close as we can rightfully use at this point. The expectation has to be for lower prices. This is a larger recovery here, so it would make sense for this to ultimately become a 5-wave move to the downside off of that 2021 high. At the very least, we have to think that we're going to get another trendy down leg emerge after this guy is over. Let's go ahead and look at one more chart here. This just zooms in on the action off of the 2021 high, and it drives that point home a little bit more. Seeing trendy downside action here. This recovery effort, not only is it a 3-wave move, but it was completely retraced. Now prices bounce back. It's likely that this 2022 recovery is not over, so we should likely see a revisit of that high in June. As long as it stays below 450, expectation has to be for this to complete and for price to head lower. Generally, we like to see some type of ending pattern to a counter trend move, so we would expect something sharper to the upside. Maybe that's begun. It did gain like almost 9% on Friday, October 14th, so maybe that's the start of something sharper to the upside. But ultimately, it's just part of a counter trend move that is going to turn down and continue its descent with at least one more 5-wave decline, similar to what we saw in 2021. So there is that one. Now let's move on to the iShares Latin America 40 ETF, ILF. Now this guy on a very long-term time frame is bullish. I mean, there's two patterns that we can see since its inception back in 2001. Very clear, very obvious, trendy 5-wave move. And since then, one big counter trend mess. Now, in that light, it's bullish. The part that seems a little less bullish is the fact that it's been moving in a counter trend fashion for like 14 years. So it's hard to pretend that it has any kind of urgency with what it's doing here. So the question that I'm asking anyway is, how do we label this counter trend move? Because that should provide some hope in determining if it may be over or may not. So let's give a few swings at it here. One possibility would be wave A. All of this is a wave B, which is possible because after wave A's low was recorded, it has not been revisited at any point. Generally, we expect it to revisit, so maybe this is all just one massive B wave setting up a C wave down. Let's try again. Another possibility would be wave A. All this is wave B, and then you have a C wave that was super sharp. It just didn't quite get the job completed by moving below wave A's low or fully testing wave A's low. This is possible as well. One more effort here, possibly a triangle pattern A, B, C, D, E. So both this labeling and this labeling would support a resumption of the uptrend. This labeling, obviously not so much. Once this B wave ends, we would expect a C wave decline all the way back down to the 2008 low before price resumes. So how do we answer this question? How do we determine which one of these is the most likely labeling? And the key for me, I would say, is looking at this action off the 2020 low and seeing if it has trendy potential and what might come of it. So let's go ahead and find that chart here. This looks at that action off the 2020 low. It does have trendy potential. You look at this advance in 2020 and early 2021, you can find a 5-wave move, kind of a more prominent first wave labeling here, but it looks like a 5-wave move to the upside. And then since that high was recorded in 2021, all we're really seeing is counter trend movement back and forth, which looks like counter trend price action to the downside, which sets up higher prices. Now, this reminds me quite a bit of EWZ, not surprising since it's in Latin America. EWZ is the Brazil ETF that we follow, and it shows a similar potential. It shows this big sideways move that we've been in since 2021, and then the potential that whatever is happening to the upside here off of the 2022 low could be the resumption of the uptrend. And I'll show you why. Let's go ahead and zoom in at this action here. That leg off of the 2022 low looks trendy. It's been very strong. And since it recorded its high back in mid-August, it's been a chop fest to sideways, basically. It set a new low in late September. Looked like that could be the end of the correction, and price turned higher. It's a little bit under pressure now with what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Price has pulled back. If it moves below 24, it raises some questions. It makes it tougher to be immediately bullish. Obviously, it says at the least we're getting a larger counter trend move off of August high. Obviously, a worst case scenario if you have an A, B, and a very quick C, and that becomes a counter trend move. So I think the way you buffer against both possibilities is you just look at this level down here right around like 2260. So this is a Fibonacci retracement of this up leg here. So if this comes back down below 24, then we have to say, even the best case scenario, this is just a larger correction setting up that next up leg. If that was the case, it would still need to stay above 2260. So I think you can be bullish on this guy as long as it's trading above 2260. If you get a move below that level, then it's scrapped. Then this has to be considered a counter trend move. Then you start backing that out and saying, okay, this counter trend, this massive move that we've been stuck in moving sideways since 2021 is not over. If it can stay above 2260, you have the potential that this marks the low and that price is ready to turn higher. So if it shows some notable strength at any point, I think it's worth a trade. You might want to wait to see what happens here. If it moves below 24, moves back down to these lows, and then just see how it reacts to that 2260 level to see if it can stay above it and continue what has so far been a very nice and constructive pattern to the upside. So that is what we're looking at, Lautaro. I hope you have some fun weekend plans. I do, mostly taking it easy, which sounds like a lot of fun to me. So hope all is well. Anybody else who's watching this, come visit us at TrendLizard.com. We apply Elliott Wave Theory to every major market, stock, crypto, everything else. And we have a free trial for you. So come visit. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.